All right, so I finished this video and I was watching it, recapping, just watching a little bit of footage, and I've gotten a lot of comments from people like, "Oh, look at that guy's gyno through his tank top." Okay, well, you see this? These are nipples. Do you see this? Do you see this nipple? Does this look like gyno? I literally have to do this so I can stop getting these comments. Now I know I'm gonna have some funny trolls out here like it's still gyno, but it's a fucking nipple, bro. It's a fucking nipple. Okay? So now I can get into the good part of this video without getting stupid comments like that. Let's get into it. What's up, team? Nsima, this is Inyang here. Now, in this video, I'm gonna have some footage from a roll. I think actually some rolls from today. It's Monday, July something 8th, and some footage from training from last week going during this video. But in this video, I'm gonna talk about two things that you need to come to terms with and that you need to understand if you're a new athlete that actually wants to get started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Mind you, I'm a white belt who's been training for a year and 6 months, so I'm not some type of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like expert, right? But I am an athlete that knows how to deal with different variables so I can progress at both. I've come a long way from when I first started rolling. And I take powerlifting and lifting very, very seriously along with that. I look for progression in the weight room and on the mats, and I've been able to mesh those two together very, very well. Now, as an athlete, you know, a lot of you who have watched this channel for a long time know that my first background was soccer, where it was all athletics, and then I picked up bodybuilding along with soccer so I can get bigger and stronger while being on the soccer field. My goal was to have my bodybuilding be an accessory to me being on the soccer field so I could be the biggest, strongest athlete on the field. That was the whole goal. And then when I wasn't able to play soccer anymore, I did powerlifting so I could supplement the need to be an athlete because I didn't feel that bodybuilding really hit that for me. And I started picking up jiu-jitsu because I found that jiu-jitsu actually fills in the role that soccer used to have. Okay, I'm an athlete at heart. I like to move. As much as the gym is fun and as much as I totally enjoy progressing in terms of strength and helping athletes and clients that I work with progress in powerlifting and bodybuilding, I myself find it more fun to do more athletic things, and jiu-jitsu kind of fills that role for me. So my main goals now are to progress on the mats and progress in the gym and have my strength be a huge supplement to my performance on the mat. So I pretty much want to be the strongest Brazilian jiu-jitsu athlete on the mats at any given point in time, along with progressing my technique. I know it's a lot of technique, it's not just strength, but I know that powerlifting can supplement that a lot. So when it comes to my personal goals, my main goal isn't to deadlift 900 pounds or squat 800 pounds. My main goal is to be as humanly strong as possible when it comes to those big 3 lifts while still being a freak athlete on the mats. So I want to keep my athleticism, and that's actually why, I'm down to 247 and 248 pounds, whereas I guess 18 weeks ago I was around 265, and for about a year and a half before that I was just 265 pounds. But now I have a lot of my athleticism back. Now, the main two things I want to talk about in this video is because I've actually had a lot of DMs from a lot of you guys asking about starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What kind of things do you need to think about when you're trying to put it into a lifting routine? Some people have asked me for specific lifting routines that they could do while doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And as far as that, I don't think there's one best lifting routine, but I just think there's some big principles that you need to come to terms with if you really want to make progress at both sports of jiu-jitsu and powerlifting. And the first thing, I'm going to talk about the mats first. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, it's actually understanding, and you'll hear this a lot from jiu-jitsu practitioners, and if you look up flowing or jiu-jitsu flow or whatever on YouTube, you'll see a lot of this, is actually the aspect of flowing on the mats. Now, with any new athlete that enters and goes onto the mats and rolls for the first time, you're in a dangerous situation, okay? You are going to get choked. Okay, you're gonna be afraid because you're gonna get into an arm bar, or someone's going to, they're gonna put you in a knee bar. You're gonna be put in very, very dangerous situations that are gonna cause you to tense up. They're gonna cause you also to not breathe. Okay, and what the athlete needs to do, the new athlete needs to get used to, is the aspect of flowing, the aspect of relaxing while you're rolling. And I know it's very counterintuitive to what you think, because you think that if you're about to fight, you gotta tense up and use all your muscles. Well, that's really not the case. You'll find that you'll roll better if you relax. Even under the tense situations where someone's on top of you and putting you in a choke, you need to be able to relax and just let your body kind of do what it needs to do. Now, to any new athlete, it's gonna be hard to do this because you don't have many tools to work with, which is where, you gotta progress. But in the back of your mind, you need to understand that the only way I'm gonna be able to progress is by relaxing and flowing, okay? And the reason why I say this isn't some existential thing, it's actually just very practical. If you don't breathe and you don't relax, you're gonna be very tense. If your muscles are tense for 60 minutes of rolling, you're gonna expend an extreme amount of energy. And if you're not breathing consistently when you're doing certain things, you won't be taking enough oxygen to be able to actually perform at your highest level. Meaning that you're gonna tire out and you're gonna be doing more work while you're in a very, very tired state, which will lead to really, really bad recovery. Okay, so I found that when I started being able to relax, and I've actually have one client also that's very new to jiu-jitsu. He's been doing it for about 4.5 months now. After he started to be able to relax after his 3.5 months in, he found that he was able to recover much better when he started hitting the weight rooms the next day or the next 2 days after he was rolling. But that was only after he came to he understood that he needs to breathe and relax even when under insane amounts of pressure. Okay, so the big thing that you need to do on the mats is just learn how to relax and just take things in, not tense up, and breathe. Because if you're doing this, if you're able to relax and breathe throughout all of your rolls, right, you'll have much better recovery between, let's say you're rolling 2 to 3 times a week, which is what I typically suggest for a new athlete that's mixing jiu-jitsu and lifting. Roll 2 to 3 times a week. If you're also mixing that maybe 3 to 4 times a week of lifting per week, you will be able to do much better in the gym afterwards, just because you have so much more energy to work with and you're not as beat up physically. Okay, now, ending talking about that, let's now talk about the lifting thing, okay? Now, the thing is, when adding in any type of new stimulus, and I'm sweating this, it is very hot in this room. When adding any type of new stimulus into a lifting routine, let's say it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or let's say it's doing some high intensity interval work where you're working with sleds, or you're working with, a recumbent bike, or anything that adds in a lot of new stimulus into your training will take a small hit for a duration of time until you adapt to the new stimulus. And now let's look at jiu-jitsu as that main stimulus and as something that you need to adapt to while lifting. The first few weeks are gonna be hell. And you know what, fuck it, the first few months might be hell. You need to understand that your lifting will take a hit. Okay, so you need to, when you program yourself these 3 to 4 days of lifting per week, you need to make sure that you're very, very conservative with what you do. So let's just say your squat max is 405 and you're very used to squatting 3 by 8 by 350 pounds. That's usually really easy for you. Well, because of the cumulative fatigue that comes from jiu-jitsu for the 2 to 3 times you're rolling per week, that 3 by 8 by 350 might be really, really difficult. So you still want the big aspect in any type of good program of progressive overload going on, but you want to give yourself a little bit of leniency. Like I said, you want to be conservative. So instead of maybe doing 3 by 8 on 350 on a certain day, you might do 3 by 8 by 320. Okay, and you'll progress slowly from there. We're anticipating, yes, that your strength is gonna take a hit because of all of this extra expenditure that you're doing on the mats. So mainly, you need to understand that your lifts will take a hit, okay, and come to terms with that until you start being able to relax and flow. And then also you need to know when you, like as an athlete, when you can put your foot on the gas and when you need to put your foot on the brakes. What I mean by this is choosing your days when you're gonna battle the weight, because on certain days you're gonna feel really, really beat up. I feel sore pretty much every single day. And then there are gonna be certain days where you feel really good that you can actually attack some heavier load. And that means that you need to just have flexibility in the way you program. So on a certain day, this is where maybe doing some RPE type work can benefit you. If you're feeling really beat up and you have squats, right? Let's say you program them at 3 by 8 by 340 and you want it to be at an RPE 8, meaning that after every single set you have about 2 reps left in the tank. Let's say you attempt set 1 at 3 by 8 at 350 and it's RPE 10. Bump yourself down to 3 by 8 at 330 and that'll probably be an RPE 8, do that. Okay, that's gonna help you out a lot. Instead of using pure percentages, using a little bit of RPE or rate of perceived exertion type of work, so that you can work within your ability on any given day. You can still try and progress in terms of the way you feel on any given day. Now there are gonna have to be some days where you kind of actually just have some grit and grind through the feeling, because this is where RPE gets kind of iffy. When an athlete can't really gauge how they actually feel when they're attacking the weights and they're a little bit too, not say that they're a little bit too, not conservative, but they can't really read how they feel. So even if they say that something is an RPE 10, it actually looks like an RPE 7. Now, if you don't know what rate of perceived exertion is, I'm gonna do a quick review real quick. RPE is pretty much this. If something's an RPE 10 on a certain day, that means, let's say you're doing a 3x5 at 315 pounds for your squat. That means after that first set of 5, you can't do any more reps than 5. That is RPE 10. RPE 9 would mean that you could probably do 1 to 2 more reps of that squat. RPE 8 would mean that you could potentially do 2 to 3 more reps of that squat, etc. Okay, so instead of programming directly for percentages and directly for numbers, you go by RPE and you base on how you feel. Now, with combining these two sports, there's gonna be a lot of stress. There's gonna be a lot of your body being beat up. So a lot of the time you're gonna have to train based on how you feel. But like I said, the big idea in your program needs to be, even if you're progressing, or even if you're using weights lighter than you've ever used before, you still wanna progress with those weights. And also, you can't train with as much frequency as you were before. So a lot of you train 5 to 6 days a week in terms of lifting. So you don't want to go to jiu-jitsu twice and try and lift 5 days a week. Unless you have very, very low volume on those 5 days, you will tire yourself out. You at least want a few days, 1 to 2 days out of the week to take some rest. So that's why I suggest 2 to 3 days on the mat, 3 to 4 days in the gym. And that'll be the best way where you can pretty much try and progress at both. But let's just recap real quick before I end this video. The big thing that you need to focus on in the mats is learning how to breathe, learning how to relax, and learning how to flow, because that's gonna allow you to recover better so that you'll be able to have more energy every day that you enter into the mats again and every day that you enter into the gym. And the big thing that you need to understand in the gym is that when you first start doing jiu-jitsu, along with whatever you're doing in terms of powerlifting and bodybuilding, your lifts will take a hit because of all the expenditure that's gonna be happening. Jiu-jitsu is a very, very cardiovascular demanding or cardio demanding sport. Okay, it's extremely tiring. So when doing all of this and trying to lift also, you need to realize that you're gonna take a hit there. You wanna maybe eat a little bit more food, probably hydrate a little bit more, get more sleep. All of these things are gonna help you perform better as an athlete, but understand that there will be a small hit taken until you're able to relax and do a little bit better controlling yourself and relaxing on the mats. Okay, if you have any questions about this for any of you that are actually doing both, because like I said, I've gotten a lot of Instagram DMs from all of you. Let me know. Let me know if you have any questions in general about anything or anything that I'm doing or video ideas potentially. And other than that, this is Nsima, this Sensor Inyang from Break the Bar, Be an Anomaly. Love all y'all, and I will talk to all of you very, very soon.